Hi grade 10, it's Miss OD here. Today we're just going to look at how to do regression using GeoGebra and using the spreadsheet function. So when you open GeoGebra, you're going to have your screen look something like this. If you don't have a grid there and you would like a grid, you don't have to. Then you just go up to View, and just choose Grid. So if I click off it, it's gone. If I want it there, I just choose it. Now, what you're going to want to do is you want to enter your data that you found into a spreadsheet. So GeoGebra has a spreadsheet function, so we go up to View and Spreadsheet. And you'll see over here there is a spreadsheet that appears. It works like a normal Excel spreadsheet. So you just enter your data into here. If we go to one that I've already prepared, and so I've entered some data in here, and this is obviously different to yours, but that's okay. What we can do is we can plot these points, and we can then use the regression tool. So to plot the points, all you have to do once you've entered the data is to just highlight your points, highlight your data, and you'll notice you have a slightly different toolbar up here. You go to the third button here, the one that looks like a point, click on the little arrow and choose the second option, Create List of Points. Choose that, just choose Create, just as the standard. Now you might find that you can't actually see your points. And also, if we think about logically what sort of numbers that you will get, and what I also have here, we're not using any negatives. So what we need to do is, you'll see here, my y-axis only goes up to 4, but if I look here, these points are much bigger than 4. So I need to just move my axes around. So if I just click in the graphics screen, choose the Move option, the one that looks like a cross, and if I just drag this down to the corner, I don't really need those negatives. Now I still can't see my points. That doesn't mean it hasn't worked. Staying on the Move tool, go over to one of your axes. You'll probably need to change both of them. So it normally is a cross. Move it until it is an arrow, and then just click and drag down. And you can see I can start seeing my points here. If I do the same for my x-axis, remember, get close till it turns to an arrow, click and drag. And my last one was 33. And you can then just play with this too. If you want this to be more spread out, then by all means stretch that up. Of course, you can move your axes around as well. And you probably actually don't need your spreadsheet anymore. If you need it again, you can just go to View and show it. So you can see more of your graph. Okay, so you can play with that. So that's the first thing, is you need to be able to plot the points. Once you've done that, actually I do need my spreadsheet again. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, highlight my points. This time, if I look at my graph here, I see it looks a bit like a trig function. And it looks like my principal axis, it looks like this point A could be pretty close to my principal axis. So I'm going to predict that this would be some sort of sine curve. Now, we need this statistics bar open again, which will happen once you click in the spreadsheet. And we choose the second button this time, go to the arrow, and choose the second option, 2-variable regression analysis. Click on that, and we'll get a new window appear, and your points should be plotted in your new window. Then you go down the bottom here to the grey area, and you choose the regression. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose a function that you think suits your data points. So as I said before, I think it was look like a sine curve. So I'm going to choose sine. And you can see it does a number of things. It draws a function on there. And down here I can see that it then gives me a function. So I can see this is 16.1996. So that's like the plus D that we normally have. This is like our A, it's just written in a different order. So 1.3003 sine of, and then we have, this is like our B, the number in front of the X, and this has a plus 0.002, which is very small, which, if you remember, is a horizontal movement. Okay, so that's a model that the computer gives you then. So that's what we call the regression model. And a nice thing that you can do with this little function here is, if I wanted to know, if I look at my points, say I wanted to know after 10 hours, then I can type in 10 and it should work out for me what these are your options. It should work out for me when I press enter, work out what the matching Y value is. Just remember that yours may not be called X and Y because, for example, here I've called mine T for hours and D for meters. So you might need to change that. Okay, so that's the regression, how we do regression. A couple of other things you might, if I just close that window, a couple of other things you might want to do in terms of formatting. As I said, you can see by default it puts X and Y on the axes, but for example here I use T and D. So if I right click now in the graph, if I just click and if I right click near the axis, hopefully, and I get a little pop-up window, and if I choose graphics, this allows me to format my all of my graphics windows, so my axes, the grid, etc. So you can set what you want your X axis to go from and what to go to, but you can just also drag. Similarly for the Y. Of course we would want to show it. All of that probably would stay the same. But then if you go to the actual X-axis, yep, we want to show the axis, we want to show the numbers. If for some reason this is not one I probably would recommend, but you can choose so you can have your axes to have a scale of 2 if you like. And here you'll notice that you can change the label. So my X-axis should actually be T, so I can change that to T. And then similarly you can do the same sort of formatting on the Y-axis. So if you want to change what your scale on the Y-axis is, then you can do that here. And again I can change my label. So you can just delete it, and I'm going to call it D, close, and you'll see it's relabeled my axes for me. It changed my scale there, and so on. Alright, so I think that should be enough to get you started with regression using GeoGebra. Okay, good luck. Bye.